Okay, we are discussing about vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation. Last class we have also discussed what is the meaning of vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is nothing, it is a type of asexual reproduction. It is a type of asexual reproduction in case of plants. One type of asexual reproduction. And why the name is given vegetative propagation, not other name is given. The vegetative propagation is used because some vegetative parts are used. Just like in the very beginning class, first class we have discussed, there is a difference between asexual and sexual. When sex organs are used, that is called sexual reproduction. When other organs are used, that is called asexual. Similarly, in case of plants, if you come to plant, in case of plant, two type of organ are there. One is called a vegetative organ, another is called as a sex organ or reproductive organ, we can say reproductive organ. So two type of organs are there in case of plant. And the reproductive organ, if you look at the sex organ or reproductive organ of plant, mainly first is flower, another is fruit. But fruit are produced after flower. First flower is formed, flower changes into fruit, and inside the fruit there is a seed. So these three things are involved in reproduction, sexual reproduction. But in addition to these organs, some other organs are present in case of plant. What are the other organs? Like root, stem and leaves. Root, stem and leaves. If you come to the root, stem, leaves, these three organs generally not helps in reproduction. Root, stem and leaves not helps in reproduction, they are having some other function. What is the function of root? In 11th we have discussed. The function of root is absorption of water. As I know. Similarly, what is the function of stem? Function of stem is to provide the support, and function of leaves is photosynthesis. So that's why root, stem and leaf, they are not responsible for reproduction. And those organs which are not responsible for reproduction are called as a vegetative organ. Those organs which are not responsible for reproduction are known as, yes, any problem? So vegetative organ. So vegetative organs are root, stem and leaves. But the reproductive organs are flower, fruit and seed. When flower, fruit and seed are used, that is called reproduction, sexual reproduction, and these are reproductive organ. But some plants are found. In some plants, the seeds or flower, fruit, these are not used. Seed, flower, fruit, these are not used in reproduction. And those plants which not use these organs, exceptionally, they use this vegetative organ, because these organs are not used by some plants. And those plants who use vegetative organ, their reproduction is called vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. So vegetative propagation means the reproduction or propagation of a plant by using root, stem and leaves. So that's why, what is the unit of reproduction here? The unit of vegetative propagation are root, stem, leaf, not seed. So in simple definition, in very simple definition, we can say what is vegetative propagation? The type of reproduction which not uses the seed. Mainly seed. Seed is used in sexual reproduction. When you are getting seed and putting inside the soil and a new plant arises from that seed, that is sexual reproduction. But what is vegetative propagation in simple word? The type of reproduction or type of reproduction or type of propagation in which seed is not used. There is no use of seed. In place of seed, there is use of root, stem and leaves. So that's why root, stem, leaves are called as a vegetative propagules. Vegetative propagules. So what is vegetative propagule? Sometimes question comes. What is vegetative propagule? Vegetative propagation is the process, but vegetative propagule are the structural units. These units may be a root part. Unit means a small part. This root, stem or leaf, these are the units of vegetative propagation. So that's why these are called as a vegetative propagule. So now we have to discuss how this root, stem and leaves helps in vegetative propagation. So one by one we will discuss. First we will start with the stem. How stems helps in vegetative propagation, most important. And remember one thing, from this point, vegetative propagation, only one mark question will come. In entrance also, only example type of question will come. And how it will come, we'll discuss. So now come to vegetative propagation by stem. Vegetative propagation by stem. Stem helps in vegetative propagation. So three structures are there. Maybe a stem, root or leaf. But if you come to stem, all of you know what is a stem. Stem is that part of plant which is present above the ground. It is a general, all of you know. But here we will discuss two important type of stem. Stem are also present below the ground. Some stem, exceptionally, some stems are present below the soil. Generally, you have known stem is present above the soil, but here we will discuss underground stem. So first we will discuss underground stem. Underground stem. Underground stem. How? Underground stem helps in the vegetative propagation. And second, we will discuss second type. It's called sub-area. Sub-aerial stem. So two important type of stem we have to discuss in this vegetative propagation. So first come to underground. Underground means below the soil. It is not general, it is exception. Generally stem are found above the ground. Above the ground stem is present, leaf is found, everything is present. But these are the underground stem. So in underground stem, number one, first underground stem we have to discuss, that is a tuber. What is a tuber? So first we have to discuss tuber. So one by one we will discuss. Subaerial stem we will discuss later. First come to tuber. What is a tuber? Let. This is the soil surface. This is the soil, and one plant is present. This is the stem. Generally above ground there is a stem, but the part of the stem is also continuous. Here, this is the root, lower portion. What happens in some plant, as these are exceptional plants, already you have discussed, these are not normal, underground stem, means below the ground. So what happens from the lower part of the stem, this is the stem I am showing, here this is the stem, underground stem, below the soil, stem is present below the soil. So what happens in this plant, branches develops, branches, stem branches. Don't think these are the root. Don't imagine these are the root. These are not root. These are arises from the stem. So these are the stem branches. I can show here. This is the stem branch. Stem branch. This is the main stem. This is the main stem. These are the branches. Just like where there is a main wire and branches arises. So this is the stem. And from this stem many branches arises. These are the branches. What happens in these plants? These plants have a special mechanism. After photosynthesis, the food which are synthesized, the food get accumulated at the end of the underground branch. This is the underground branch, and this is the end or terminal portion of the underground branch. And at the underground branch, the food material after photosynthesis, the food material get accumulated. The food material get accumulated and make it a swollen. So it forms a swollen structure below the ground. And these are the stem ending. And just like above the ground in plant you find leaf. In the stem there is a branch, leaf, everything is present above the ground. Similarly, inside the ground, below the ground, these stems which are swollen, these are the stem but swollen. Why swollen? Because food material are accumulated, but they will not lose their character of stem. So inside the soil, in this swollen stem, it is found some modified leaves are present. These are scaly in nature, scale-like, very dry leaves, and these are not green. Green leaves are only found above the soil. But inside the soil, those stems which are modified, these are the exceptional stems, modified stems are changed. In this case, you find some scaly leaves. At regular interval, you find scaly leaves. And this type of stem, this type of swollen stem is known as a tuber. Clear? So one thing you have to remember here, tuber is nothing. Only one thing you have to remember about tuber. Tuber is a modified stem or underground stem. And the best example, many times this question asked in NeeT, in previous history, you find this tuber, best example of tuber is potato. So that's why potato are swollen. The potato is swollen. So potato tuber. So tuber, all the potato are example of tuber. This question you have to remember. So no one will explain me about this tuber by showing a beautiful diagram. No one will ask in any type of entrance or any type of board examination. Only question will come, what is tuber? Tuber is an underground stem. What is the example of tuber? Potato. So that's why you find when you keep potato for long period in your home, what happens? The potato kept for long period, so green color pod develops at places. You can find, when the potato is kept for long period in your home, you can find this type of situation. So there is a growth of green color structures on the potato surface, and these are nothing. These are the vegetative propagation. If you cut that part, that a green portion of potato, and put in the soil, a new potato plant will develop inside the soil again in underground method, in this underground stem by this vegetative propagation. Clear? So all about tuber is clear. So second, we'll discuss underground stem. Second underground stem is a rhizome. It is also important, rhizome. What happens in case of rhizome? This rhizome are nothing, these are also underground stem, but this grow, they are stem. The branches grow horizontally and irregularly, like this. This is the stem. From the lower portion of the stem, this stem, some part of stem is present above the soil. This is the soil surface. This line indicates soil surface. Some portion of stem is present above the soil, some portion of stem is present below the soil. And in this case, what happens? Due to accumulation of food, the stem ending gives an appearance of irregular shape. Here it is just spherical or oval, we can say, egg-like. Potato are spear-like or egg-like. But in this case, there is no definite shape. Due to accumulation everywhere, due to accumulation of food at every place, you find there is irregular shape. And due to this irregular shape, the food get accumulated everywhere. And here in this case, you find some scaly leaves, modified leaves, not green. Green leaves are only found above the soil. Green leaves, these are the green leaves. Green leaves are found above the soil. But as these are present below the ground, you find some nodes. Nodes means lines, just like node. We have discussed in 11th. What is node? Node is a swollen portion in the stem. You can mark easily in bamboo and sugarcane. In sugarcane plant, this is a sugarcane. In sugarcane stem, you find these lines at regular interval. These are called nodes, from where leaf arises. Similarly, in this case, in case of rhizome grows horizontally, not vertically, not vertically downward. It grows horizontally due to accumulation of food in all direction. And there is node. At regular interval, you find lines. These are the nodes. And from the node, some leaves arises, scaly leaves, and these are dry leaves. As these are present inside the soil, these are brown in color. So that's why, in case of rhizome and tuber, every case underground stem, you always find scaly leaves, not green leaves. These are scaly dry leaves. And best example of rhizome, you can see in the diagram. Can you tell me what is the example? Can you able to imagine? This is the diagram of which substance we are, yes, ginger. We are using in our home, ginger and turmeric, not only ginger and turmeric. Clear? Turmeric also. You can find, if you take a piece of ginger and a piece of turmeric, you find very similar. They are close. Yes or no? Only turmeric is yellow and ginger are brown, outer surface. Yes or no? So ginger and turmeric, very best example of this rhizome. And a very frequently asked question, tuber is potato and rhizome is ginger and turmeric. No one will ask you describe me about drawing a beautiful diagram. Only question will come, what is the example of tuber, what is the example of rhizome. Tuber example is potato, rhizome example is ginger and turmeric. All are underground stem. These are not normal stem. Normal stem are found above the soil. These are the modified or underground stem. So that's why it is written underground, exceptional stem. Clear? So two stems we have completed. One is a tuber, another is a rhizome. Now come to third. Third type of stem is corm. Another type of stem is corm. So what is corm? If you have understood this rhizome, there is no problem in the corm. So corm is a type of stem which is the same as rhizome but growing vertically downward. Can you imagine? This is the soil surface. This is the soil. This is the lining of the soil surface and this is the stem. From the beginning, I have told you, in case of tuber, at the terminal branch, there is accumulation of food, it becomes swollen. In this case, food is swollen and food is accumulated everywhere, so that's why this is the irregular stem. In this case, what happens? Food get accumulated vertically, so that's why it forms a vertical structure like this. And this stem, this is the stem part, this is the stem and this becomes swollen due to accumulation of food. And as it is a stem, you find node. Node means lines. In this case, also you find node. And some dry leaves, you find dry leaves. And as it is present inside the soil, mineral is present, water is present. When water and mineral is available to this type of stem, sometimes root develops. From this part, root also develops. From the surface, root develops. And sometimes extra bud also develops, extra growths. And these extra growths are this same stem. And if you separate this extra stem, just like body we have discussed, in case of yeast and hydra, one extra growth develops and that extra growth gets separated or detached to form a new organism. Similarly, in this case, corm is a vertically grown stem, underground stem. And from that, some extra bud develops or outgrowth develops. So these are the buds, extra buds. And these buds, when get separated and you put inside the soil, again a new plant will develop from that. And you can guess what is the example of a corm. Example is colocasia. Colocasia, very frequently used in curry, colocasia. So what is the Hindi name I don't know. So you have to search what is colocasia. क्लियर? तो सारू क्या उड़िया में बोलते हैं, क्लियर? तो कॉर्न एग्जाम्पल इज कोलोकासिया. तो कोलोकासिया इज द बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल ऑफ कॉर्न. क्लियर? तो 3 underground stem we have completed. One is tuber, rhizome, corm. Another example is bulb, underground stem. Another underground stem is bulb. So 4 we have to discuss. Underground stem. 4 underground stem we have to discuss. Tuber completed, rhizome completed, corm completed. The number 4, very important and we are using frequently in our home and it is also a famous substance. The tuber, rhizome, corm, another is bulb. So what is bulb? If you come to the soil, this is the soil surface, this is the lining, soil surface. As we have discussed, all are underground, all the 4, tuber, rhizome, corm, bulb, all are underground. This is also underground stem. But this is a disc-shaped stem. This stem is a disc. So I can write, this is a disc-shaped stem. Disc-shaped. Flat, circular, disc-shaped. This is a disc-shaped stem. Disc-shaped stem. And from this disc-shaped stem, root arises from the lower side towards the earth, towards the ground. Root arises, and these roots are called as adventitious root. Adventitious root. These are not normal root, exceptional root, because stem is not normal. Here stem is underground. So from underground stem, the root which develops, that is called adventitious root, and a leaf also develops. But what is the problem here? The root arises below the soil and the stem is also below the soil. But the leaf which arises, the leaf arises above the soil like this. These are the leaves. These are the leaves. leaves of this type of plant. And one important thing, the leaves which are present, there is a dry leaves outer side. Due to exposure to the sun, rain, the outer leaves become dry, but the inner leaves are wet or moist leaves. These are the moist leaves and filled with food material. And from the diagram, you can know what is the example of bulb. The example of bulb. So what is the example of bulb? Example of bulb is onion. Onion and garlic. Onion and garlic. Onion and garlic are the two examples. Onion and garlic are the two examples of bulb. So that's why you have to remember about these vegetative propagules. So first is tuber. Tuber example is potato. Second is rhizome. Rhizome example is ginger, turmeric. Corm example is colocasia, and bulb example is onion and garlic. Okay, so in this part you have to remember these four examples. Tuber example is potato, rhizome example is ginger, and corm example is colocasia, and bulb example is onion and garlic. I will give the formula how to remember easily, but now you read and try to remember by yourself. When there is resumption of class, I will tell you. Okay, so underground stem complete. I think you are clear about this. Now we'll move towards another type of stem, second type of stem, which is called subaerial stem. Now underground stem complete. Now come to second type of stem, that is subaerial. Subaerial stem. Subaerial stem. If you have any doubt, we will discuss at the end. Now listen, subaerial. Underground stem are present below the soil, but subaerial stem are present just close to the soil and above the soil, not at a long height, long distance. They are present close to the soil. and they are in horizontal maximum. This is the soil surface. When stem, generally you have seen stem are present vertically above the ground, vertically long height stems, but subaerial stem are those stems which are close to the soil and above the soil and horizontal, grows horizontal. Previously we have discussed they are underground, maybe horizontal, vertical, whatever that may be. In underground we have discussed. But subaerial always close or horizontal to the soil surface. And first type, number 1, in this subaerial stem, number 1 is called a runner. Number 1 type of subaerial stem is a runner. And how these runners are found? This is the soil surface. I am showing this is the soil surface. Okay. So this type of stem grows horizontally like this. This is a horizontally growing stem. This is the horizontally growing stem. This is the soil surface. This line indicates soil surface. Just above the soil surface there is a stem, and this is a horizontally growing stem, and the stem possesses a node at regular interval. Node means lines from where leaf or branch arises. These are the node. Now I can show this is the node. Node means place. Node means place from where leaf arises. Already you have discussed, just like in sugarcane and bamboo you can find. If you see a sugarcane stem, at many places you find there is swollen portions. These are called node. So this is the node. Many nodes are there. And it is horizontally growing above the soil. Not at a long height, above the soil. So that's why it is a sub-area. What happens in this case? When this type of stem grows in forward direction, from the node, below the node, as the node comes in contact with the soil, this is the soil contains water and nutrients. From the lower portion of the node, the root develops, and a root helps in binding to the soil and provides support. And above ground, from the above ground portion, the leaves arises. These are the leaves, and leaf arises in a group. So from the above ground portion, leaf arises, and below the ground portion, from the lower portion, the root, adventitious root develops. Like that, when the plant grows in a forward direction, new leaves arises at upper side, and the root develops at the lower side. So that's why when the plant grows, it develops into new plants in different area. So that's why it grows horizontally. And the best example is grass and oxalis. Oxalis is a special type of grass. Oxalis. You have to remember oxalis. And a dub grass, cynodon, scientific name. So dub grass. So grasses, maximum grasses. So that's why in case of grass, you find their stem grows and the leaf develops on the upper surface and the lower surface. The root develops from the node portion. So this is all about runner. So runner is a type of subaerial stem. Second type of subaerial is called offset. Runner is clear to all. Now come to offset. If you come to offset, runner and offset are same, complete. Only difference, offset are aquatic runner. Very important, maximum time asked question. Aquatic runner, aquatic means water. Grasses are found on the soil. The same thing if found in water and horizontally going, above there is a leaf and below there is a root. In village condition, in pond and river you find this type of situation. In all the pond and river you find plants are growing horizontally on the water surface. Above there is leaves, called leaves, and lower side there is a root. Clear? So that's why people are involved in cleaning that type of plant when maximum growth takes place. You can easily imagine in village condition. So example of offset is water hyacinth, because they are found in water. Water hyacinth also called as Eichernia. Eichhornia is the scientific name. Eichhornia. You have to remember. Offset. So runner, offset are same. Only it is aquatic. So if I show in the diagrammatically form, let this is the water. This is not soil. I am showing this is the water surface. Water. Water is present here in a pond or river. This is the soil. So on the water surface you find some stems are there. Horizontal stems. This is a horizontal stem. Not necessarily it should be straight, curved, whatever that may be. Let this is the node. Many nodes are present. Lower surface of the node possesses the group of root, bundle of root. The bundle of root develops from the lower surface. In offset you can find there is a bundle of root, and from the upper surface you find again similarly there is a rosette of leaves. Rosette means group of leaves. From the upper surface you find there is a group of leaves. Group of leaves are present on the upper surface. There is a group of leaves like this. You can find in aquatic condition. So you can compare these two diagrams. Same. These two diagrams are same. Only it is in soil. This is in water. So aquatic runner are called as offset, but those runner which are present they are normal runner, soil. So runner and offset complete. Now come to next. After runner offset, the third category of subaerial stem is stolen. Third is stolen. What is stolen? If you come to the soil surface, let this is the soil surface, and one plant is present here. Let this is the stem. Lower surface is the root. This part is the root of the plant. This part is the stem. Already I had told these are not underground, these are above the soil, and from the stem leaf arises. These are the leaves of the plant. What happens when stolon tries to show vegetative reproduction? One branch develops from the lower portion. One branch develops from the lower portion. This is the main stem and this is the branch, stem branch. I can write here, stem branch. This is the stem branch. And the stem branch, after formation of stem branch from the main stem, the branch grows in curve manner. The branch bent or curve, and it grows in such a manner it becomes long and finally touches the ground. So is it clear? This is the main stem. From the main stem a stem branch arises, and this branch touches the soil due to curvature growth, not straight or oblique. Due to curved growth it touches the soil, and already I had told soil contains water and minerals. Once this stem branch touches the soil, from the lower portion root develops, and from the upper portion stem develops. So that's why it gives rise to a new plant. Now you can cut the connection. This connection you can easily cut. It is an independent plant. Same thing happens from this. Also another branch develops. This branch when get connected to the soil, from the lower side root develops, upper side stem develops, and these are the leaves. So like that, when the plant grows by this curvature, the stem branches touches, new plant develops. It is not a type of reproduction. Number of plant increasing, so it is a type of reproduction, but vegetative because stems are used. Yes or no? So this is stolen. An example of stolen is jasmine plant. Jasmine, Frajaria, jasmine, strawberry, many examples are there. But you have to remember only one. Jasmine is the best example of this stolen. And last category under this subaerial modification of stem, last is sucker. The last type of subaerial modification is sucker. So what is sucker? In this case, let this is the soil surface, and this is the stem. Actually, in this case, in case of sucker, sometimes there is underground stem also. This is underground stem. Underground. And this underground stem is a part of main stem. Some part of stem is under the ground. And when they try to reproduce, what happens? A branch develops obliquely. A branch develops obliquely and come out of the soil. This is the soil surface. Initially the whole part of this underground stem is present below the soil. But when a branch develops, this is the oblique branch. Oblique branch. Why we have written oblique branch? Because they are not growing straight. They are oblique, in bend. And after oblique growth, their stem comes out of the soil. This is the layer, soil layer. They come out of the soil layer, and when they come out, there is a formation of leaf, stem, branches, and it gives rise to a new plant. So sucker, only you have to remember sucker. In this sucker there is oblique growth and it is a subaerial modification, not underground. Example of sucker, best example is banana. In banana plant you can observe, in village condition or in your garden, if there is a banana plant, you find there is a main banana plant, at the center there is a main banana plant, and a small. The small banana plant arises obliquely from sides, lateral. From the side, small banana plant develops. If you have not recognized this type of situation, then go to a banana garden or village condition. I think all of you are in village condition now due to this situation. So you can find easily this sucker, banana, how banana shows sucker. Banana, another is chrysanthemum. So here you have to remember, in subaerial modification, no one will ask about the definition. Only 1 mark question will come, or matching. In entrance, sometime match will come. Column matching. In one side, runner, stolen, sucker are there. In other side, example. You have to match which example is fit, correct, matching. So runner is oxalis or grasses. Stolen is jasmine. And offset is aquatic runner, that is water hyacinth or eichhornia. And a sucker are the banana. This completes your stem. So this much about the vegetative propagation by stem. Now we will move towards next part, that is leaf and root. Already you have discussed leaf and root. Again I am summarizing in short such that you can be better clarified about the vegetative propagation by root. Now stem complete. Vegetative propagation by root. Because vegetative propagation takes place not by seed, only by root, stem, leaf. Now vegetative propagation by root. The best example of root is das, DAS, or sad, whatever you can remember, sad or das. D for dahlia. Frequently asked question in NeeT as well as in your board exam. A for asparagus. S for sweet potato. Sweet potato. These three are best example who reproduce by root. What happens in this case? This is the soil, this is the stem, and the root. These are the branches of the root, and here the root accumulate food, just like stem accumulated food in potato, but not in sweet potato. This question also comes. Potato is a stem, but sweet potato is a root, because we have written under root. Sweet potato is a root, underground root. Root is present underground, general, there is no exception. So this is a root, but this root is swollen, irregular in shape due to accumulation of food. And from this root, when the time of vegetative propagation comes, when sweet potato, asparagus or dahlia, they want to produce a new plant, a extra growth develops, bud, what already we have discussed in body. Extra growth or bud develops, and this bud, when get separated and comes in contact with a new soil, again there is a development of a new plant. So from each bud there is a formation of a new plant. So that's why it helps, root helps in vegetative propagation. Only thing you have to remember, the root first develops bud, and these bud are called adventitious bud. Clear? Different type of bud are there. These are called adventitious bud, a special type of bud, and this bud when gets separated, it develops into a new plant. This is all about your root. Only you have to remember the example. Thus or sack, sweet potato, dahlia, asparagus. But maximum time, this asparagus is not important. Sweet potato and dahlia are very important. You have to remember. So about root completed. Now come to next, leaf. Vegetative propagation by leaf. When vegetative propagation by leaves takes place, vegetative propagation by leaves, this is only found in some plants, BB, bryophyllum, and begonia. But bryophyllum is frequently asked. At least you have to remember this. BB, the root. Root is the example of root is a sac. Example of leaf vegetative propagation is BB, bryophyllum and begonia. Similarly for stem I will tell, but first you read. Today in the next class I will tell how to remember the underground and subaerial stem. So in this case, how the reproduction takes place, this is the leaf attached to the stem. This is the stem. To the stem the leaf is attached. When the time of reproduction comes, vegetative propagation, in the margin of the leaf, this is the margin, these are the veins, water and nutrient is supplied through this pipe-like structure called venlets. So what happens when the vegetative propagation time comes? There is a cell division and an accumulation of cell. This cell accumulate and form a extra growth, and this extra growth are called as bud. Already you have discussed in yeast and hydra budding. So bud means extra growth due to accumulation of cell. When cell division takes place, there is a formation of bud, and this type of bud is called as adventitious bud. Adventitious bud develops in the margin of leaf. Sometimes direct question comes. Adventitious bud develops in the margin of leaf in which plant? Bryophyllum. And this bud, when grows in size, gradually the root develops from the lower side. From the lower side of that bud in the leaf margin at the time of attachment, when they are remain intact or attached to the leaf, the root develops from the lower side. And by any situation when the bud gets separated by cutting or by any natural means due to death of the leaf, when this plant gets separated and it comes in contact with the soil, let lower side soil is there. When this bud comes in contact with the soil, this is the bud, and the lower side there is a root. Gradually this bud increases and it develops into a new bryophyllum plant. So this is how reproduction, each bud can produce a new plant. So that's the number of plant increases. So it is the vegetative reproduction through leaves. So that's why root, stem, leaf are used in vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation in case of plants. But all the things what we have discussed, vegetative propagation by leaf, root or stem, these are by natural method. These are occurring natural. You are not making a potato inside the soil. You are incapable. You cannot make a potato or you cannot make a rhizome inside the soil. These are natural. Plant makes all the structure, rhizome, runner, offset, whatever we have discussed. These buds, you are not making these buds. These buds are naturally produced by plants. But in addition to this, some artificial propagation are also there. So vegetative propagation is categorized into two groups. Some are natural vegetative propagation and some are artificial vegetative propagation. Now we will move towards artificial vegetative propagation. We have completed natural vegetative propagation. Now come to artificial vegetative propagation. Artificial vegetative propagation. In artificial vegetative propagation, number one type is called cutting. First is cutting. Second is grafting. Grafting, and third is called layering. Number 3 is called layering. 3 types, and all are important because every year one question is asked, whatever that may be, NeeT or board. So first come to cutting. It is very easy. No need to anything new here. Cutting comes from what? Cut means any part which is cut, any part of the plant which is cut. It may be a cut root, cut stem, or cut leaves by human, because artificial means involvement of man. You can cut a root, stem, or leaves and put inside the soil, then that part will give rise to a new plant. Many plants in your life you have observed in village condition. Some people break the branch or stem and put inside the soil to form a new plant. Example is rose, China rose. China rose means मंदार. चाइना में इतना पॉपुलेशन है कि रोज नहीं मिलता है देने के लिए, तो डायरेक्ट वो चाइना रोज यूज करते हैं. हिबिस्कस, क्लियर? तो रूट, stem and leaves when cut, that cut part is called as a cutting. So that's why cutting can be of 3 types. You can cut a part of root, that is called root cutting. You can cut a part of stem, that is called stem cutting. You can cut a part of leaf, that is called leaf cutting. We will take one example. This is the stem, upper surface above the soil. This is the root. Okay, these are the branches of the stem. Now I want a new plant by artificial vegetative propagation. Now what I have to do? We have to cut a stem. We have to use a knife or instrument. Then we have to cut here. Now I will cut here. After cutting, now this stem is get separated. And now I can put this stem in another soil. Like this is the soil, and I will put this stem here. And when I will put this stem here, now this stem will grow and form a new plant. But it is not so easy. What happens? In this plant, we have separated the stem, but this plant, this cut portion not having any stem. ये cut portion के पास अभी root नहीं है, and a root is the main organ for absorption of what? Water. Water is absorbed by root, but this part, what we have cut, that part not having root, so that's why it may die in the near future. So that's why, to keep this plant in living state, some hormones are injected here. Some hormones are given, and these are the chemicals. Hormones are chemical. One is IBA, indole butyric acid, naphthalene acetic acid. ऐसे बहुत सारे chemical है, and these chemicals are given. When these chemical given, it induce root formation. So these are called rooting hormone. So after stem cutting, the rooting hormones are given. Root inducing hormone are given. They can produce the root. So that's why it can be easier for the plant to grow by developing root, because it can absorb easily water. And this type of stem cutting, cut part of stem, is used in many plants. Example is sugarcane. Sugarcane long stem, the people used to break the stem and put inside the soil. By applying some hormone, root develops from the stem and new plant grows. So cutting, example of cutting is SCP, sugarcane, China rose, and another is bougainvillea. Clear? So no need to remember, cutting is not important, example is not important, just I have told, you can refer it. So cutting complete. There is no doubt in the cutting. This is artificial vegetative propagation. Next important is grafting, and frequently question comes from grafting. In grafting, what happens? 2 plants are joined. Remember, first thing, grafting is that type in which 2 different plants are joined. 2 different plants. कैसे? This is one plant. I am showing. This is the stem. This is the root portion of the plant. This is the stem. These are the branches, stem branches. These are the stem branches. leaves, one plant, and this is another plant. Two plants simultaneously I am showing. This is the stem. Okay. 1 minute. मैम नमस्कार मैडम सेंड कर दीजिए टिके जूम रे गोटे क्लास टे चलथिला तो सेंड कर दीजिए कर दीजिए लिंक टा पठेनी मैम सेटा मो साइट रे ही जे माने चैनल रे पठे दउछि आगे पठे visible? Okay. So what happens in case of grafting? Two plants are there. This is plant A, this is plant B. We have to take part of a plant A and join with part of plant B. We have to take a part from one plant and join with other plant. And in this case, grafting, one plant's shoot is taken and another plant's root is taken. I want shoot of this plant, shoot, and I want root of this plant. You have to first choose which plant's root you have to take, which plant's shoot you have to take. First I am giving one example. These are the two plants, okay, and the lower portion is root in all plant. This is the root of black plant, this is the root of blue plant, and this is the stem. I can take stem of black plant and I can join this black stem with a blue root. Clear? Similarly, blue stem with a black root. Like that grafting takes place. Now come to direct. What happens here? Now we have chosen this shoot of plant A. Plant A shoot, plant B's root. What I will take first? I have to cut or detach because these are artificial, man-made. Now I have to cut the stem. Okay. And when I will cut, now the stem get disconnected. This part get disconnected from this plant. But this plant is life. But now this plant is get separated, so that's why it cannot remain for long period in living condition. It will die if you will keep in that cutting form. So that's why now we have to take this part and insert in another plant which possesses a well-developed root. Now this is the well-developed root. Now I can directly join this part with the root or stem, whatever that portion. I will join here. I will take this portion and join here. Okay, this is the leaf. Now this branch is joined at this, and when it is joined, I have to make a injury and we have to put or insert here. So that's why now you find it is a combination of two plants. Previously these two are independent, now it is the combination. What you find in this plant? In this plant, the upper part or shoot belongs to plant A, but the root portion belongs to plant B. Yes or no? Now root is not belong to A. Stem belongs to A. The B also possesses stem, that is different. But now the new part which is joined, that is A stem or shoot. This is the shoot portion and B's root. Now this combination is called as a grafting because when these two combine it form a new plant or hybrid plant. But when these two things are joined, now the two parts are used. One is the shoot, another is the root. This is shoot and this is the root portion. A is shoot, B is root. This shoot portion, what I have taken, this shoot portion from the plant A. This shoot portion of plant A is called as a scion. You have to remember. It is already asked in NeeT and other examination. What is the scion? Scion is a part of shoot from one plant which is used in grafting, and the root containing portion is called as a stalk. So that's why one question comes: stalk and stem are used in which type of artificial propagation? In grafting. Grafting is the method in which stalk and stem is used. What is stalk? Stalk is the rooted portion. Stalk is the rooted supportive portion, root containing portion, and stem is the shoot portion of a plant containing buds. Buds means extra growth. It can also contain bud, which can give rise to a new branch. And first, in grafting, stem is taken from one plant. It is joined with the stalk of another plant, and at the point of connection where the stalk is connected to stem, at that point some clay is given. It is called a grafting clay. It is prepared by taking soil, dung and water, all are mixed, and that clay is given here. This is called grafting clay. And why grafting clay is needed? All of you know, soil is important for growth of the plant, and that clay is given, or wax. You can give wax or grafting clay, and after giving grafting clay, a polythene is wrapped, polythene is covered such that it cannot become loose, or it remain in fixed condition for easy development or growth of the plant. And that is all about grafting. Different type of grafting are there, given in your note. Already I have given the PDF note. Different type of grafting diagram is given. But these are not important, only grafting. The process is important, and grafting is done in many plants. Example is MRP Goa, mango, one is rose, another is pear, guava, grapes, orange, apple. Means those which are edible fruits we are commonly using in our home during different occasions. So mango, rose, your pure, guava, orange, apple, these are example of grafting, but these example are not important, only process you have to remember. What happens in case of grafting? The stalk and stem are used for grafting. So this completes the process grafting.